Dub Nation, I need everybody to stop what you're doing right now, because what I just witnessed on First Take this morning has me genuinely excited about the future of this franchise. Like, I was doing my usual morning routine, had ESPN on in the background, and when they started talking about the Warriors and potential moves they could make, I immediately stopped everything because they brought up a name that makes so much sense for what Golden State needs. ZIAIRE Williams coming to the Bay. And let me tell you, by the end of the segment, Stephen A. Smith and the entire panel were bought in on why this could be one of the smartest developmental moves the Warriors could make. Now, before I break down everything they said, let me set the scene for you, because this wasn't just a casual mention. This was a full-blown segment where they analyzed why ZIAIRE Williams fits the Warriors' philosophy perfectly. Stephen A. was actually passionate about this topic, which surprised me because sometimes he can be dismissive about Warriors' developmental projects, but not this time. This time, he was fully engaged in discussing why Williams represents exactly the type of player that Golden State has historically turned into valuable contributors. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content, every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. So here's how it all went down. The segment kicked off with them discussing the current state of the Warriors and what's missing from this roster. And look, we all know the Warriors have been through a lot this season. Steph Curry has been dealing with injuries, Draymond Green has been inconsistent, the young players haven't all developed as hoped, and the team just hasn't looked like the championship contenders they were a few years ago. But Stephen A. made a really interesting point right at the beginning of the segment. He said that the Warriors have always been at their best when they identify young talent with upside and develop them within their system. That's the Warriors' way. And ZIAIRE Williams is exactly that type of prospect. The first thing they talked about was the Warriors' historical approach to player development and why it's been so successful. One of the analysts broke down how the Warriors have consistently taken players who other teams gave up on or didn't fully maximize and turned them into valuable rotation pieces. The system that Steve Kerr runs, built around Stephen Curry's gravity and constant movement, creates opportunities for players to succeed in ways they couldn't on other teams. Players who struggle elsewhere often flourish in Golden State because the system puts them in positions to succeed. ZIAIRE Williams fits that profile perfectly. Stephen A. was emphatic about this point. He talked about how Williams has shown flashes of being a legitimate 3-and-D wing during his time with the Memphis Grizzlies, but he's never had the consistent opportunity to develop those skills fully. In Memphis, the rotation was crowded, the coaching situation changed, and Williams never got the sustained playing time needed to truly evolve his game. In Golden State, he would have the perfect environment to reach his potential. The panel discussed how Williams' skill set aligns with what the Warriors desperately need. The Warriors have been searching for athletic wings who can defend multiple positions and knock down open threes. That's been a weakness for them since some of their key players departed or declined. Williams has the physical profile to be exactly that type of player. He's got the height, he's got the length, he's got the mobility to guard multiple positions on the perimeter. Those attributes are incredibly valuable in today's NBA. But here's what really got the panel animated about the ZIAIRE Williams fit. They talked about how the Warriors' system specifically would help him develop his shooting. One of the biggest knocks on Williams has been his inconsistent three-point shooting. He shows flashes of being a capable shooter, but he hasn't been consistent enough to be relied upon in that role. Stephen A. made the argument that playing in the Warriors system would change that equation entirely. Think about how shooters perform in Golden State versus elsewhere. The Warriors' movement-based offense generates the cleanest looks in basketball. Players receive passes in rhythm, in their shooting pocket with space to get their shot off comfortably. That's a completely different experience than being on a team where you're standing in the corner waiting for a contested catch-and-shoot opportunity. Williams would receive passes from Steph Curry and Draymond Green, two of the best passers in the league, in situations where he can shoot with confidence. The panel discussed the development curve that other players have experienced in Golden State. They brought up examples of shooters who improved dramatically after joining the Warriors because the system put them in better positions. Williams has the mechanics and the potential to be a reliable three-point shooter. What he needs is the environment that maximizes that potential, and there's no better environment in basketball for developing shooters than the Warriors. Stephen A. went into detail about Williams' defensive capabilities, and this is where the discussion got really interesting. He talked about how Williams has the physical tools to be an elite perimeter defender. He's got the length to contest shots, the lateral quickness to stay in front of guards, and the size to guard bigger wings. What he needs is consistent coaching and opportunity to refine those skills. The Warriors' defensive scheme under Steve Kerr emphasizes switching and versatility, which plays directly to Williams' strengths. The conversation then shifted to the transition game, and this is where the panel got genuinely excited about what Williams could bring to Golden State. One of the analysts pointed out that Williams is extremely effective in the open court. He runs the floor, he finishes in transition, and he makes smart decisions on the break. The Warriors, even in their current state, still play at a high pace and generate transition opportunities. Williams would thrive in that environment. Think about what the Warriors offense looks like when it's clicking. Steph Curry is launching threes, the ball is moving, players are cutting, and there are constant opportunities for easy baskets in transition and off movement. Williams' ability to run the floor and finish would be perfectly suited for that style of play. He wouldn't need to create his own shot, he would just need to be in the right places and convert the opportunities that the system generates. The panel discussed the financial aspect and why this move makes so much sense from a practical standpoint. Williams hasn't become a star yet. His market value is relatively low compared to what his potential suggests he could become. The Warriors could acquire him without giving up significant assets, and if he develops as hoped, they would have gotten incredible value. That's the type of smart team building that the Warriors organization has always prided itself on. Stephen A. emphasized how important cost efficiency is for the Warriors right now. They've been paying the luxury tax for years, and there's only so much they can spend. Finding young players with high upside who can be acquired cheaply is essential for maintaining their competitiveness. Williams fits that bill perfectly. He's a calculated risk with potentially massive reward. One of the analysts made a really interesting point about the replacement cycle in the Warriors' rotation. The Warriors need to start thinking about the next generation of wings who can defend and shoot. Some of their current rotation players are getting older or haven't developed as hoped. Williams represents an opportunity to inject youth, athleticism, and upside into the wing rotation without making a massive commitment. The conversation also touched on the mentorship Williams would receive in Golden State. Playing alongside Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, two of the smartest players in NBA history, would accelerate his development in ways that can't be measured. Learning the nuances of the game from future Hall of Famers, understanding how to move without the ball, knowing when to cut and when to space, all of that knowledge transfer would be invaluable for a young player still figuring out his game. Stephen A. made a great point about the Warriors' championship window and how Williams fits into that conversation. Steph Curry is 37 years old. The championship window with him as the centerpiece isn't going to stay open forever. But that doesn't mean the Warriors should stop developing young talent. Players like Williams represent the bridge between the current era and whatever comes next. If he develops into a quality starter-level wing, the Warriors would have a valuable piece for the next chapter of their franchise. The panel discussed what Williams' role would look like in Golden State. They talked about how he would likely start as a rotation piece, getting consistent minutes in situations where his skills would be maximized. Defensive assignments against opposing wings, spot-up shooting opportunities, transition running, those would be his primary responsibilities initially. As he develops and proves himself, his role could expand. One thing that really resonated with me from the discussion was how they talked about the patience required for this type of move. Williams isn't going to come in and be a star immediately. He's a project with upside, and projects require time and patience to develop. But the Warriors have shown throughout their dynasty that they understand how to develop talent. They know how to be patient with young players while still competing at a high level. The panel talked about the risk factors associated with Williams, and they were honest about them. His shooting has been inconsistent. His aggression level fluctuates from game to game. He hasn't proven he can be a consistent impact player at the NBA level yet. Those are real concerns that can't be ignored. But the counter argument is that the potential reward far outweighs the risk, especially given the low acquisition cost. Think about the best case scenario for the Warriors with Williams. He develops into a reliable 3-and-D wing who can guard multiple positions and knock down open threes at a high clip. That's exactly what championship teams need. That's a player who could start on a contending team, and the Warriors could get that player for minimal investment by betting on his development. Stephen A. wrapped up the Warriors segment by talking about what this type of move would mean for the franchise's philosophy. He said that the Warriors have always been willing to bet on players who fit their system, even if those players haven't proven themselves elsewhere. That willingness to see potential where others see limitations is what made the dynasty possible. Adding ZIAIRE Williams would be a continuation of that philosophy. Now, I want to talk about something else that came up during the show that I think provides really important context for all of this. They discussed the Warriors' current wing rotation and the need for upgrades. The reality is that the Warriors need more athletic, versatile defenders at the wing positions. Williams would immediately address that need, while also providing upside that their current options don't have. The panel talked about the difference between signing expensive veterans and developing young talent. Veterans provide immediate impact but limited ceiling. Young players with upside require patience, but offer the possibility of exponential growth. For a team in the Warriors' situation with championship aspirations but financial constraints, betting on development makes strategic sense. One of the analysts made a fascinating point about how the Warriors system acts as a talent multiplier. Players perform better in Golden State than they do elsewhere because the system is so well designed. Williams could be the latest example of this phenomenon. His skills would be maximized in ways they haven't been in Memphis, and the results could be dramatically different. The panel discussed the intangibles that Williams would bring beyond his physical skills. He's been in a competitive environment in Memphis. He's experienced both success and adversity. He's hungry to prove himself. That kind of motivation combined with the Warriors' developmental environment could be a powerful combination. Think about what the Warriors would look like if Williams develops as hoped. You've got Steph Curry still doing Steph things. You've got Williams providing perimeter defense and three-point shooting. You've got Draymond facilitating. That's a competitive team. That's a team that can make noise in the playoffs. And you've built it through smart, cost-effective moves rather than expensive splashes. Stephen A. made a bold statement at the end of the segment. He said that if the Warriors take a chance on ZIAIRE Williams and he develops into the player his upside suggests he could be, this would be remembered as one of the smartest under-the-radar moves of the offseason. Not every great move is a blockbuster trade. Sometimes the best moves are the ones nobody sees coming, the calculated bets on potential that pay off in ways that exceed expectations. The panel agreed that Williams represents exactly the type of opportunity that smart organizations capitalize on. He's undervalued because he hasn't reached his potential yet, but the potential is clearly there. The Warriors have the system, the coaching, and the culture to unlock that potential. It's a perfect match of player and situation. Now, I want to address something that I think is important. Some Warriors fans might be disappointed if the team's big offseason move is acquiring a developmental prospect rather than an established star. I understand that perspective. Everyone wants the splash move, the headline acquisition, but the Warriors dynasty wasn't built on splash moves alone. It was built on smart moves, on player development, on understanding how to maximize talent within their system.